This coach training session is devoted to huddle meetings. The one-on-one meetings are for providing personal care to the group leaders themselves, to encourage them to see how they're doing personally, to invest in their lives. The group visits are not only to provide continued encouragement to the leader, but also to become acquainted with the group members themselves, since the members of that group are part of your care group as an elder. But the huddle meetings provide further training for the group leaders to hone in their skills to help them become better equipped to serve the Lord in their group ministry. The basic meeting format is the ministry breakfasts that take place in October, January, and April. At 8:30, we'll begin with breakfast, and then at 9 o'clock, Ken will do a 30-minute presentation. But then you will have 40 minutes in your huddle groups to discuss the matters at hand. And then we will follow up with a wrap-up session. It should be kept in mind that this schedule is very tentative and will vary from meeting to meeting, depending on what topic is being covered by Ken or the presenter. Now, what is it that you're going to cover during these huddle sessions? First, Ken will likely provide you with some discussion questions that follow his presentation. Second, on your handout you will see a list of group priority questions. We will talk a little bit more about that, but certainly you're going to want to track things and see how the group leaders are progressing with their groups in these 5 priorities. You'll also want to use the time to identify issues and concerns the leaders have themselves to know what specific things they need help with. Now, how are you going to prepare for these huddle sessions? First, you're going to want to pray. You want to ask the Lord to give you guidance, to ask Him to give you wisdom and direction as you prepare and lead these huddles. You want to ask for His presence to be among you and to guide you together as you discuss and encourage one another. You're going to want to review the questions that are provided if they're provided ahead by Ken. And you're going to want to review your notes from your one-on-one contacts, from the group visits, and from previous huddles, just so you know what specifically you really need to follow up on. When leading your group discussion, it's important to model good communication skills for the group leaders so that they can emulate that in their groups themselves. The communication skills are listed in your manual in the group dynamics section, pages 9 and 10. These 12 skills are worthy of your review before a huddle session, honing in and paying attention to it to make sure that you are using them well yourself. Now let's talk a moment about the group priority questions that are found in your handout. Those questions are not intended to be exhausted at every huddle meeting, but rather you should select 2 questions per meeting. The main point is to make sure you cover all of the priorities throughout the year. What we're asking you to do is to help track and to encourage the group leaders to make sure their groups are balanced and covering these 5 priorities. So as you plan ahead, you want to pick 2 either from the same priority or from 2 different priorities. This sample here has decided to pick from 2 different priorities. So the one question is focusing on what the next study is going to be, and the other question is just seeing if the members of these groups are actually identifying their outposts, if they've actually made that first initial step. So think about the questions. You don't need to use, you can write up your own questions, you can tweak them but they're just there for you, something for you to start with and to work with. But the main point is that each of these areas are being covered and being encouraged and developed in the groups, as we want to assure good discipleship in the groups. Now also, to really do this well, it's important to be very intentional. So I encourage you to take notes and to keep track of how things are progressing. So after each huddle session, you should really summarize your conversation. What were the key points? What were the key issues? What were the concerns? What are things that you need to follow up on? If there is an issue that needs addressing and it's really kind of beyond your own scope, then you should contact Ken or Phil to get further assistance so we can help together help that group leader develop and to address the issue in the group. And then use the notes that you've taken to track things. So as you prepare for your next huddle session, as you even prepare for your one-on-one contacts for the next month, your notes will help you to stay focused and on track. Again, you have a handout that provides you with this information. I encourage you before the next huddle session to review it, and hopefully this little presentation will just remind you of the key things to remember for the huddle session. Thank you.